Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's another Thursday night at 4 o'clock. Well, maybe 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, depending on where you are. But we are here, and we're here to talk about, I can say it right one of these times, uh, stuff to live in an aquarium, underwater even, that aren't necessarily fish, that could live with fish or not. Because I think what happens is, if you're like me, you go way too far into fish. You eventually have bought out everything your local fish store has. You've consumed a lot of what's on the internet. And now you're like, I haven't kept that yet. Or could I keep that with this? And I think we all start with like snails and shrimp. So that's kind of like number 5, right? Like the most common thing. And that is community fish with snails and shrimp. Some of my favorite snails, I really like ram's horn snails and pond snails. So like that little pond snail, we always try and keep them alive as long as we can. And around the family, we always call them grandpa snails. From there, I like mystery snails. I like trapdoor snails, Malaysian trumpet snails. Nerite snails, not so much. Nerite snails I always buy when I have an allergy problem. So inherently they're met with like, oh, I need more nerite snails. And not so much like I pick up a nerite snail because, oh, they're awesome. Even though they are pretty awesome. And maybe if I dealt with them in brackish or salt water, I would feel that way. But in freshwater, it's kind of like buying, what would it be? Like a doggy pooper scooper. You're like, oh, I bought one. Now I get to scoop up my dog poop out of my yard. It's like, you don't really get excited about that. Even if it's the best scooper system on the planet, still you're picking up dog poop. No good. But when it comes to shrimp, there's tons of shrimp, and they're very lucrative too. And what I mean by that is the average home hobbyist can breed some shrimp and make some cheddar. Not a lot. You might only get free fish food. You might only get some free fish every once in a while, but kind of every shrimp on the planet that comes out of a hobbyist aquarium is pretty much worth like $1. Now, you might not be able to get $1 from your store, or someone wants to feed their turtle or something, they're only giving you a quarter, whatever it is. But in general, a living little crustacean like that's kind of worth $1. And same for snails too, honestly. They just don't replicate as easily and as fast, and not as many people want them. But they are a great source and full of entertainment. Like snails snailing around with a shrimp riding on it, or you get a snail that's got hair algae growing on it, and then a shrimp's eating that. Like, there are little additions to your aquarium that aren't fish that most people enjoy. And I know that because working at a store for so many years, you can see the enjoyment when people buy a snail, they come back in 2 or 3 weeks later, and they got to tell you this story about the snail. You wouldn't believe what this thing can do. You wouldn't think it'd be so fast. Like, you can tell they honestly were enjoying owning this snail or this shrimp or whatever. And that's how I judge whether people are really enjoying something, where they've seen something so magical, they now have to tell you about it, knowing that, like, you realize I pretty much scoop up shrimp and snails all day long every day, but they're in disbelief because their preconceptions of it are so different. So if you've never kept snails, even Dean, if you're watching right now, I know you hate snails, but I swear they're beneficial and they're useful. Maybe not in a hardcore breeding setup, but I do love them quite a bit. And if you haven't kept them as a pet, I encourage you to do that. Like, if you're just keeping them as an algae eater, or you just had an explosion of snails you never intended to, that is way different than I went shopping, I researched, and I found this snail or these shrimp that I do like. Now, when it comes to shrimp, cherry shrimp, ghost shrimp, those are the most common ones people are ever going to play with, but things like cardinal shrimp, Sulawesi cardinal shrimp, are amazing looking with their little white feet that look like they're dancing. They have totally different water parameters. They're much harder to keep. Crystal shrimp, or all the varieties of crystal and tiger shrimp, can be amazing looking. They can also be very expensive. But shrimp, I feel like they get their own rap of like, oh yeah, there's shrimp keepers, there's shrimp YouTube channels, there's shrimp only stores. What you don't see is like, oh, it's only snails. Like, this channel only does snails. This store only sells snails. Like that doesn't happen. So I think they're a lot rarer, or they're more common in your aquarium, but the appreciation is a lot rarer. Whereas somehow a shrimp, oh, we need to put that up on a pedestal. Like that thing's worth $5,000. Oh, that snail, yeah, I mean that one maybe $5, you know, if it's really good. So you can get them in cheap, but they're still, I find, to be just as fascinating. Especially when you look into things like assassin snails that kill other snails. The mouth structure on a lot of these snails is always super weird to watch them eat against the glass. And like nerite snails can eat stuff off the glass that other snails can't. You can see the trails they'll go through where they've been working and that kind of stuff. And I don't know, I find it to be actually enjoyable, where I think a lot of people, they're so afraid they're going to eat their plants that they don't allow themselves the chance to go, wait a second, they are amazing. And so that would be my thing to you. And number 5, like, give snails a chance, give shrimp a chance. They could be eaten by other stuff, but don't be afraid of them. You can try with something as easy as, you know, like a feeder shrimp, which would be a ghost shrimp, and slowly go down that rabbit hole. Now, I know we've got super chats and we've got new members and things like that. We'll address those once we get through this top 5, because if you're just coming here, then that's what you're here for. Like, if you search this video up. But if you're this far already, know that we only talk about freshwater stuff around here. We talk about it all the time. We got 1,000 videos. Hit that subscribe button so that someday when you're home and you're sick, and you've run out of Netflix things to watch, you go, wait a second, there is like a backlog of aquarium videos I could watch, and you'll be glad you hit that subscribe button to get you through the flu. So that's what we do here. We get you through the flu. All right, next up on my list, I think, are frogs. Now, there's more than one type of frog. Everyone kind of thinks one of the two. Either African dwarf frog, very popular, or a clawed frog, also very popular. Now, I've had experience with both, even though clawed frogs are illegal in my state. When I first got into the hobby, so I've got fish, I've got snails. What? You can keep frogs with fish? I had to do it, right? So I go and I get a frog, I bring it home, and I think I had this thing for like 4 days. And I'm the typical hobbyist in that bought a frog, went home, now I should learn about the frog. And I'm Googling, and every time I'm like, this frog does not look like an African dwarf frog. And it turns out it was an African clawed frog that was going to get very big and eat all of my fish. And that's not what I wanted. And so I actually called the store, and I was like, I'm pretty sure you sold me an African clawed frog. And I got the typical like pet store spiel. I think I know what we have, and no, we didn't, right? So then, being the consumer that I was, I bagged that thing up and I took it back to the store and, you know, asked to speak to the manager. Had to change my haircut for that, of course, you know. And I was like, this is a clawed frog. It's not legal in this state. I've done my research. I have the receipt right here that says I bought it from you 6 days ago. All I want is a dwarf frog. And they did have dwarf frogs, so I ended up getting my dwarf frog there and brought it home. And I was able to enjoy it because it just derped around the tank, eating stuff, you know, food and that kind of stuff. And, you know, you get to go, look, I have a frog now, you know, so I've got snails, I got frogs, and I got fish. Shrimp at the time weren't very popular. I got into it, you know, probably 6 or 8 months later, but at the time, shrimp outside of ghost shrimp were like never in a pet store. So I didn't have the chance to like fall in love with that. Where these dwarf frogs, they're lovable and they can live underwater, and for sure they don't get out of water, you know, and they are that element that I think we're looking for, is what else can we do? And then you can graduate on to like the Sermonesis toads, right? And I've yet to keep these. I've come very close a few times because they'll come into local stores. And these are the toads that you see on National Geographic where all the babies like hatch out of their back and it's the grossest thing you've ever seen and you puke while you watch it. Yes. So pairs of those come in and they'll be like $300 for a pair, and it takes me quite a bit to not buy one, partially because I'm grossed out by the entire breeding of it, but the fact that they're like paper thin, they look cool, They also, what is it? Sermonesis frog, and then also what? Pepa toads, I think, is the other name they go by. They're so weird that I'm drawn to it. Not that I would necessarily keep them with other fish. Like, you could probably keep them with some derpy white clouds and that kind of stuff, but I wouldn't put them in a full-on community tank because I wouldn't want them to get jeopardized. You know, I wouldn't want to jeopardize their, feeding habits and all that by mixing them in. But, I wouldn't cross the lines with things like terrarium frogs and that kind of stuff. It can be done, but you start getting water levels that are too deep, and some stuff can drown, and some stuff can get eaten, and some stuff can leach into the water and get the fish sick. So I typically try to stay with actual aquariums filled up with water and not delve into that land water mix. Can I get this crested gecko to live? Can I do this thing? Can I do this? Like, deep enough for fish, but not too deep to drown. Leave that to nature for them to figure that out. For me, everything aquatic, underwater, fully is what I'm into. So then I think from there, the fish perversion, if you will, leads you down like, okay, I've got my snails, I got my shrimps, I got my frog. Now, what else can live with these things? And by now, I feel like you might be a connoisseur where you're like, I'm going to Google it before I buy it. And so it might take you not so much towards crayfish, but instead you go, wait a second, I could be doing crabs. And so like a fiddler crab or a vampire crab or a red clawed crab, any of those are kind of fun and unique, and they can be good algae eaters. But all of them have to get up out of water a little bit, or at least have a dry spot. And there's crazy contraptions that kind of suck that you can put into your aquarium that basically make a giant bubble that they can get out underneath. But those are hokey. And so as an aquarist, you go, wait, I could like get a big old piece of driftwood. That'll be fun to find. And then my guy can crawl up out of it, and that'll be super cool. I'll put it in the middle of the tank, and so I'll get to see him up in the light and go, ooh, look, there's the fiddler crab doing his thing. And that's how the plan totally is set until you set it all up. You get your fiddler crab. It's awesome. 4 days later, that fiddler crab is in your kitchen every time. And you wonder, like, how is this possible? Like, is he jumping? Like, you lower the water level a little bit. And then eventually one day you will see them, and they're just crawling up like your canister filter hose, because at this point, you had to buy the best filter because you've progressed in the hobby, so you have that. And you realize, oh, it's just crawling up the canister filter and then, going for a walk. And so crabs are very cool, but they're kind of like turtles in that you should build an above tank basking area, and we'll talk about that a little bit later probably. And they're just not as easy as we want them to be, unless you're going to make them like a mud skipper habitat where that's like half land, half water. There's plenty of aquarium above it to pull that off. And we as hobbyists, and what we're talking about here is, we love aquariums. We love all that water. We've got fish. We just want to put another animal into that thing and make it cohabitate. And that's really hard to do with these crabs. Not that it can't be done. It's that I feel like it's a setup that's destined for failure long term, because they crawl out, or because they get stuck, or they don't prey on your fish or anything, which is nice. Like a crayfish usually will prey on stuff, but the crabs are a lot more laid back. You do have to get them calcium, and you got to make sure they're getting food, not getting out competed, and all of that. But they are wacky and zany, and that is fun, and everyone should probably enjoy some crabs. One that I'm not so keen on would be like the Thai micro crabs. Like, they're so small that you're never gonna see them, and it's not never, but if you put them into a 29-gallon tank, you'd be lucky to see it once every 6 months, and that's when you're like turning stuff over, like, there it is, you see it, right? And so the fiddler crab is the nice $4. I'm gonna have some fun. I got a fiddler crab's doing its thing, and then you can graduate to a vampire crab or a red clawed crab, and they're anywhere from $9.99 to $50. Like, you can get some pretty exotic crabs going on, and there's some from Lake Tanganyika and Lake Malawi and that kind of stuff, but they're so rarely imported that you're going to be spending a lot of money. You'll have a dedicated setup to do that at that point. But very fun. I do like them, and surprisingly good algae eaters, which is nice. So then, let's see, we've done snails / shrimp. That was 5. We did frogs is number 4. We did crabs is number 3. I've got way more on the list that I actually like, and everyone assumes I'll go one way or the other. So I'm trying to find other stuff that's actually fun and not normal. Crayfish, they are pretty normal, but I'm going to focus on like the dwarf CPOs, which even though I'm not a Star Wars guy, I always think of C3PO whenever I say dwarf CPO. And that is the Mexican dwarf crayfish. They're bright orange. They're super cool. They're kind of like, let's take a shrimp and a giant crayfish. What if there was like the middle of those two? And that's what these things are. And they only get about that big. They're not super predatory. They're plant safe, which is nice. They're a little spendy, 15 to 25 bucks depending on where you are. Still just illegal as normal crayfish here, unfortunately. That's no fun. But they are relatively easy to breed, and they're kind of like supersized shrimp, which is cool. So I would definitely keep them if I had that chance. Unfortunately, I've had the opportunity, but legally I can't do it, so I don't, even though some stores will bring them in. Now, another crayfish that I think is cool is the cloning crayfish, and the markreb, as it's called. And at one point, that was legal, and so I was able to keep that. And then they defined it as like, this is a crayfish, and officially, if you ask Fish and Wildlife, they say it's no longer legal, or at least heavily shunned. But it's a self-cloning crayfish, and that's really cool because you only need one. It can breed, and it makes great puffer fish food. But in general, they're kind of just cool creatures. But they'll eat fish, they'll eat plants, in my experience anyway. And what I found was, depending on what you fed them, if you fed them like a dead body from a fish, like you lose a fish, they would turn one color. If you feed them like a bunch of plant trimmings, they would turn another color. So they're either red or blue, depending on which color you fed. Or not color, but what you fed them. And I can't remember which is which. It's been so long now. I can't remember if like, oh, plants made them go blue, and the extra protein made them go red. I can't remember, but it was a fun thing. And even though they were self-cloning and all of that, if you didn't feed them enough, they would just eat their own babies. So they'd be like, oh, look at that one, it's this big, and this one's about 5 inches, and then, oh, I'm hungry, and you're gone. So you had to provide a lot of cover. But they did make great feeders for puffers and that kind of stuff, and they were very lucrative to sell, like on Aquabid and that kind of stuff. I was never shipping them, I don't think I ever shipped them. But there was a lot of people making a lot of money on Aquabid for a while with them, and they're still very cool in the fact that they just clone themselves. They're like one of the best things I think that like a classroom could have, or you could have at home for kids, like a 10-gallon tank with one markreb, and let it make more is pretty mind-blowing to happen with only one thing. All I had to do was feed it and change water, and now we've made more. Now we're raising the babies. And if it wasn't so invasive in so many states, it'd be the greatest thing to be like, great, take one home, start your own aquarium. Because they're so hardy, they can live in like a shoebox or like a big sweater container, like almost anything. These things are designed to live through it all, which also makes them highly invasive, which is a problem. So that's why they're illegal, or all crayfish are illegal in my state, which, half of these animals, depending on where you live, could be legal or not legal. And definitely do your research before, but a lot of times the pet store won't carry them if they're not legal, so you get, at least that. Next, I'm going to talk about, so that was 2. Ooh, what's my number 1 here? I was trolling people earlier in the chat saying it was going to be triops, which triops they're like a little predatory crustacean. Imagine hatching out like brine shrimp with a thirst for blood, right? And they're similar to like fairy shrimp and that stuff, and they're basically eggs, and you would get them at like, where would you get them? Like at Toys R Us or something, in a package of like, look, they're prehistoric. They always call them prehistoric, or like dinosaur bugs and that kind of stuff, and they'll hatch out and they'll eat little baby fish and bugs and that kind of stuff, which are fun in their own right, but not meant to go in an aquarium with other fish. But it is kind of a novelty thing. If you ever see that and you're buying like, a present for a kid or something in your family, pick yourself up a package of triops. You'll be amazed at how good you are. Like, oh man, I'm the world's best triops keeper because I've kept fish. Whereas it's designed for someone who's never kept a fish alive to be able to keep these things alive. So it's very redundant in instructions and stuff. But they are fun, and eventually if you have big fish, you could feed them if you got bored of them or whatever. Like, here, eat this triop. Same with fairy shrimp, and those are kind of fun to order if you've never ordered those and played with them. They're kind of like a freshwater version of brine shrimp, which I wish they were cheaper and easier to cultivate so that we could just do that. If you could just like put them in your aquarium and they hashed out, that'd be amazing instead of having to artificially raise them. But I think my number one personally, let me make sure there's nothing above this. I think personally it has to be turtles because there's so many turtles. That's the thing. It's not like there's a bunch of shrimp, there's a bunch of snails, there's a bunch of things. But when it comes to turtles, there are so many, and there's so many cool ones. So whether it's like a fly river turtle, my holy grail turtle, where it looks like a sea turtle, it's got flippers instead of feet. I will get one someday legally, somehow. Or it's a Mata turtle like Jimmy's got on his channel, which I've been lusting after for many, many years. And they look prehistoric, crazy, ambush predator. They look like a giant kind of leaf, and they're meant to just lay there and eat stuff. Or it's an alligator snapping turtle that get giant, and their tongue works as a lure. So they basically just sit with their mouth open, and then their tongue just waves around. And a fish goes, oh, look at that worm, look at that worm. And then the snapping turtle goes, that's my meal. So that's super cool. There's things like the Chinese softshell turtles or the Florida softshell turtle. There's African side neck turtles. There's even stuff like I keep right now, which would be the little mini musk turtles that only get about that big, and they're living with tons of fish. You can get things like a red-eared slider. Go rescue one instead of buying one. There's probably 40 of them for Craigslist in your area. Just go rescue someone else's mistake. And then there's like loggerhead musk turtles. There's albino versions of all of these. There's just almost like unlimited variations. There's so many different types of... It's kind of like snakes, right? There's like 4 billion types of snakes. Like, oh, this is hypo, bumblebee, albino, pink-eyed, super racer, turtle, right? They just keep getting weirder and weirder, and that's kind of a fun collectoritis thing in itself, but they get very expensive. And for me, I've just got these mini musk turtles because I think they're super cool and they stay small, but I would take fly river turtles. I would take a Mata turtle. There's some other turtles that I've come close to setting up, but in general, they take a larger setup, and they don't always play nice with fish. I've had western painted turtles in the past. I've had red-eared sliders in the past. I've had, like in the thumbnail, diamondback terrapin. Very cool-looking turtle. So they've got all these cool looks, but in general, turtles are opportunistic. Some are predatory, where they'll literally go and hunt. Others are just like, hey, there's a fish that's not moving very fast. I could eat you. Oh, I did, right? And that's kind of what these musk turtles are, and like red-eared sliders. Like, they'll chase a little bit, but it's easy enough as an aquarist to set up like, oh, well, I'll put the rocks this way, and the fish could just dart in. Or you start using smart fish like some cichlids. You get some convicts or some African cichlids, and they're just smarter than the turtle. And they go, oh, look, that big, dumb, slow thing's coming towards me. Let me dart right over here. Same thing they do when we're trying to catch them with a net, right? And so you can actually build these really cool setups in the larger tanks and public zoos and public aquariums and all that. You see turtles and fish live together a lot. In home aquariums, not so much. It's because the odds are just worse. Like in an 800 gallon, I could have quite a few turtles and fish, and it would look super cool, and I should probably do that because that would be awesome. But like, I couldn't combine my mini musk turtles with these goldfish because they would bite on the turtle or bite on the goldfish. And most turtles want a basking area up out of the water. Not all, but most do, with some specific lighting. And I've thought about that. But then also, I don't want to change like the branding of the channel, and I don't want to further encourage, oh, there's a turtle and here's fish, put them together. Like, I really want people to do research before just cramming them together and go, hey, let's see what works. And that's what we saw a lot of it when you work at a pet store is, I've got a turtle, I heard fish could live. And you kind of ask them like, well, what's going on with that turtle? And pretty soon you realize they've got like a 20-gallon tank with a 5-inch turtle already. And you're like, well, what's your water change schedule like? Like, well, and it wouldn't be optimal. So you're like, a lot of times they'd be buying fish on like, what's the thing that's less likely to die from my water parameters and not get eaten? And so it's like, oh, geez, what's gonna live through, you know, the plague basically, or like a really bad situation. So you're helping like zebra danios maybe. Oh, I don't like the way those look. Like okay, the one fish I would say that could like live through it all is a Chinese algae eater. I swear, unanimously, people would be like, "I've got a turtle and I've got a Chinese algae eater. Got it for $1 at PetSmart. That thing lives through it all. Like they are a super hardy fish." So I did recommend them. I was like, honestly, they do work pretty well. They're a good algae eater. You can run into algae problems in a turtle tank if you're not water changing enough. The good news is this. When it comes to turtles, a lot of the stuff out there you'll see, they talk about how smelly they are. They'll talk about how much of a bio load they have. They talk about all these things why turtles are bad. If you're a fish keeper, all of that stuff is crazy easy. You're like, yeah, just change the water. Yeah, just use some decent filtration. Yeah, this is real basic here. But somehow as like a reptile keeper or like a dog owner or like just not a pet person, it's like, well, I bought it. It's got water. It stinks. It's in my kid's bedroom. It's not doing so well. I feed it just like, crappy Zoom Ed pellets that aren't even that good. But when you come to it from a fish keeper standpoint, you're like, wait, so I could feed it like some live fish. I could feed it frozen foods. I could feed it plants from my other tank. That's super healthy for it too. And I could just gravel vac it and run like a canister filter. And yes, this seems really easy. And it is very easy when you come at it from all that background. I think that's where turtles kind of get the bad rap is people come from the other direction. Just like you've probably watched some of your friends or know someone like, I'm going to get a fish tank. Oh, fish tanks aren't for me. They take work. Well, every pet on the planet takes work. Like my wife's out of town right now. My dogs are in the house and they're waiting on dinner. Normally they would eat at 5 like clockwork, but today they're gonna have to eat right after the stream, and then I'm gonna eat after them. And that's part of what you do for a pet, right? And so I think it's no different when it comes to our aquatic animals in that we have to take care of them and we gotta do what we think is best for them. And that can be hard. A lot of times we want to see something happen so much that it flaws our judgment. Like maybe we don't need a turtle, a crab, an axolotl, some triops, and a dragonfly nymph to live in the same tank. Like maybe that's just a death tornado and we should avoid that. And that is a death tornado, so do avoid that. But you can blur the lines, and that's the thing is it's not black and white. There is that gray area in there, but know something about this area and something about this area so you can blend them and not just like, I know everything about here, know nothing over here, let's try it. That's a little risky. You should go into it with an educated battle plan. So not that the internet will always tell you no, don't do anything ever. Because there's people that are purists, like, I love this thing so much that no one should keep it any other way than I do. But if you take a reasonable amount of time and you really educate yourself and you learn, you go, well, it makes sense. I like this temperature. I could give them that. I could do this. And then you can try it knowing that if it doesn't work, great, I'll set up another aquarium and I'll have multiple pets as opposed to just the one death tornado. So those are my pets I'm going to talk about. Axolotls, I've done that before. I've done other things before. I want to answer questions. I want to talk about other pets that you guys want to bring up, like newts. I wish newts were legal here. There's some very cool newts that are pretty fun to play with as well. So, new members from Mike Ellis, Richard Jonas, Matthew Smith. Ooh, and then Matthew Smith became a member with a super chat. Here is for the 2-for-1 deal that I wasn't supposed to get on my sponge filter I received a few weeks ago. Yes, so unfortunately we shipped someone a second sponge filter on accident. So we bias very hard on making sure you get everything in your order, with not enough to make sure we don't ship you extra, apparently. So sometimes if we're picking stuff, it's like, oh yeah, they get 3 of these, 2 of these, 1 of these, 2 of those, 3 of these. That one of becomes a 2 or a 3 like the other items. And then our system wasn't really set up to catch an extra one going out. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate, 1, you emailing and telling us, and 2, paying for it. That makes you a rock star, Matthew. I appreciate that. Caleb's Aquatics in the house. Welcome. Adam Silet, Glass City Fish Watch, and JD Chico, all new members. Aqua Discovery, re-uppin', and Samantha Anderson. Well, thank you. we are close to like quite a threshold, which we got access to another thing. I think I'm allowed to, well, I don't want to talk about it until it comes out because I don't want to get in trouble, but it's a cool feature I'm totally going to do on the live stream that is unlike other things I've seen. I've never seen anyone else be able to do it on YouTube. It's built in. I'm excited. Ooh, let me try it to make sure. Dang it. I still cannot do the feature that was supposed to be given to us like 2 weeks ago or a week ago at this point. And they keep saying, we've looked into it. It's now fixed. This is like the third time where I'm going to be like, but it's not. Or the way you're telling me to do it is not a true thing. Let me try it down here just to make sure. Yep. No, it's broken for sure. Just straight up broken. All right. The zombie drummer. Loving the 800 gallon with the goldfish. Well, thank you. I like it quite a bit too. I was telling people in the chat earlier, if you're not aware, we hang out in the chat early, an hour before we go live. And today we seem to talk about a lot about pizza, pineapple pizza in particular. So it's not always fish related. We were answering fish questions too, but we were hanging out and having a good old time. I think most of us were hungry. And I was mentioning how you guys will see in a video 2 days ago when I filmed a video, I came in and one of my larger arandas was just up by the overflow, not doing well. It's in a 250 gallon tote right now, still on its side, still alive, but there's not a lot I can do for it other than just like chill out and hopefully recover. And then one of the other calico, mostly black arandas, who has got poor vision from wind growth, was acting derpy, or at least was hanging out the top of the water. And so I moved it to go to look at it and go, are you derpy, or do you have a swim bladder problem? Is there anything I can do to help you? I need to trim your wen back. Maybe that'll give you, some gusto back in life. And then also I want to give him or her, I don't know if it's a him or her, a break, because every few days there's like a breeding bonanza that goes on in there. So I've toned back the water changes to try and alleviate that a little bit, but they go at it. If you've ever watched goldfish, like they're pretty rough on each other while they breed. So, yeah, we'll give him a break and see if he or she was just trying to avoid that. Wolftac 86, welcome. Ooh, what do I got? I've got a list of things here. I want to talk about the FTC and what that means for this channel. It's not going to be legal jargon, but basically everything I do is probably sponsored now. And what I mean by that is when I read these crazy rules, some of them are so crazy that I'm like, this seems like this can't be. Because I'm reading the FTC's website. And some of it is, let me see here. Disclose when you have any financial, employment, personal, or family relationship with a brand. That seems pretty obvious, right? Financial relationships aren't limited to money. Disclose a relationship if you got anything of value to mention for a product. That seems fine, right? If they give you a free or discounted product or other perks, you have to tell them. That seems fine too. You can't assume that you guys would know I have a relationship. That's true as well. But this one's kind of crazy. Keep in mind that tags, likes, pins, or similar ways of showing that you like a brand or product are considered endorsements. So what's crazy is if I like another creator's video and we ever collab or will collab, we technically could be breaking this law. Like there's just such a, let's say Hikari comes out with a new product and I click, ooh, I like that. Like Virobites, let's say. Am I in a financial relationship with them because I buy Hikari products and then I sell them, but they're definitely not paying me to do that. I really wish they were. In no way are they paying me. That being said, like 7 years ago, I got a free aquarium from the Aquatic experience by a Hikari rep for free because they knew I was opening a store. but that could be considered like I'm sponsored forever by the FTC or by Hikari. So that's the crazy part that so you're going to see a lot of extra stuff where I'm going to say things are sponsored when it's so corner case. You're going to be like, this is ridiculous. And I agree. But it says, like, if you endorse a product, so keep in mind, if I endorse a product, whether they pay me or not, like, let's just say this is a good example because probably a bad example, but I do like the Extreme Nano Food, right? If I endorse a product through social media, which we're on right now, your endorsement message should be make it obvious when you have a relationship. A material connection is their definition. A material connection, it's in quotes, to the brand includes a personal, a family, employment relationship, a financial relationship, such as a brand paying you or giving you free or discounted products. Now, so here's the thing. Like 5 months ago, they gave me this flake food to try. This, we actually bought, right? So even though I'm showing it to you right now, this I bought, but does that mean forever I am tainted by Extreme, right? Like, if oh, well, you're sponsored. So now I'm just going to go like 400% above board and be like, yes, I work with Extreme to make their product packaging better. So even though they don't pay me to do this, so like I need a better view to make sure you guys can see this. So this is the original package, and then this became the new packaging. They didn't pay me to do any of that work to help them with that. But I do make money if you guys buy flake food from my website. That being said, I make the same amount of money when you bought this one versus this one, and it's this weird thing. So they keep stressing it's my responsibility to let you guys know if I'll ever earn money, and I'm kind of of the opinion that like, well, of course I'll earn money. I run a website to sell stuff, and so like Extreme did not pay me to tell you guys about this nano food. In fact, I wish they would pay me. And we are working on a new label for this because I personally don't like this label for the nano food. The nano food is amazing. I actually learned about it from Dean. I fell in love with the flake food, and Dean was like, dude, they're nano food. I use it all the time. And I was like, whoa, okay, let me get some of that. But it's this like super fine granular food, which is awesome. I like it. But I think the marketing is terrible on it. No offense to Extreme. I'm sure it does work well for thousands of jaguar cichlid fry, right? But I think it's a much better use case for nanofish, guppies, that kind of stuff. So they're going to change the label. I don't get paid for that. It will sell better on the website and in the store because no one, like, I don't even sell a jaguar cichlid, and I don't think they ever sold many of this to someone with a jaguar or a Managuese spawn. But it's super weird in that I think I've got to play it safe and just tell you guys that like everything is sponsored ever. And so I had to shoot this weird video today, well, a couple weird videos today, that like in my fish room right now I have a painting from Aquashella. And the way this happened was I saw this painting show after show. I fell in love with it after the second show, and I said, can I buy this? And they said, no, we'll just give it to you. And then they had to ship it to me, and I paid $300 for shipping to get it to me. But now, every time it shows up in the video, I have to say it's sponsored because it does have like the Aquashella logo on it. And so it's this crazy weird thing of like, I don't want to get caught up in something weird because I didn't say like, oh, that's, even if I don't talk about Aquashella, it's this weird thing. And the reason I'm so guarded about it is because this has been cracking down in Europe and it's coming stateside. It's why I got an update today from YouTube saying we've changed the guidelines. Make sure you adhere to these guidelines about all of this stuff. So all this stuff is changing right before our eyes right now. And I want you guys to know that I'm doing the same thing I've always done. I'm going to bring good products in. I'm going to tell you about them. Hopefully you're going to buy them. And I'll probably make some money at the end there. But it's going to seem like all you do is sales pitches. Like, because I don't want to get caught up in something where, like if I ever get a free Werther's original from that rep, am I like sponsored by them forever? Like that's a outlier. But you know, API for instance, they buy me dinners because I'm friends with one of the API reps. That being said, I trash talk them over and over again. I do sell their products even though I trash talk them, but I think everyone would see like there is no way they are paying you to trash talk them. So, but under these rules, technically anything I ever talk about API, like, oh, that would be sponsored because I've gotten a dinner. I've also bought them a dinner before, by the way. So, it's a crazy world we're going to get through. And hopefully in 6 months or something like that, the rules will be like, okay, that was crazy. This is now the new set of rules. But they keep getting more and more just like everything. It only says, there's one line here that says, that I thought was a little bit funny. Where was it? Oh, well, some things I think are actually good. You can't talk about your experience with a product you haven't tried. So literally, like, when you're being paid, you have to have used the product. I think that's a good thing. That actually does protect consumers. If you're paid to talk about a product and thought it was terrible, you can't say it's terrific. I think that's fair. And you can't make up claims about it. That's fair too. Well, and I do think it's weird that people try to game the system. I'm not allowed to tell you that I'm sponsored in a different language if my content's in English. Like, so obviously there's some bad actors out there that are trying to do this kind of stuff. But it was something like, oh, officially, by the way, and I don't know how to do this, but it says I'm supposed to tell you guys and have it show up on the screen. Because if people watch this video on mute, they might not know, other than closed captioning. And specifically, it did say in here somewhere about live streams. If in making an oh, here we go. If making an endorsement in a live stream, the disclosure should be repeated periodically so viewers who only see part of the stream will get the disclosure. That's just going to make content worse. Like if every 42 minutes I got to go, by the way, everything here is sponsored by Aquarium Co-Op and all of the other companies I've ever worked with, ever. So, I apologize in advance that this stuff is going to become a thing. There we go. Do I sell Reese's peanut butter cups? I wish. We should start. Well, no, shipping candy's got to be a terrible idea. And, oh, I forgot to get the new emoji. Candy's emoji. How has it been oh, because it was Saturday, wasn't it? I think it was Saturday when we came up with an emoji for candy. I was like, there is no way I've lost a week already. That is way too soon. I need to get that. I'm gonna message Jim. Well, I'll message Jimmy after this. Just get a hat that says everything is sponsored. Ooh, I like that. I like that, David. Because that's what I was telling like Randy and some other people of like, I'm just gonna say everything is sponsored. Like it just, like I want everyone to just know, you buy something off my website, like I get paid. And then I just want everyone to be okay with that. Like, how about you be okay with people getting paid, but you value the fact that they're giving an honest opinion. I like that. Oh, here's a good example. Turbofish says, your fish, for example, we didn't cover that cost. The cost diversion was done by the website because of the delay, so technically we didn't sponsor your shirt. But by the rules of the FTC, they would say because I didn't pay for it, I am now like bound. So technically, this is how insane this is. Even though I was not intending to talk about this shirt I did not buy. I do think it's cool because it was the shirt that I stained already, by the way, right there. I think that's like a taco stain. But it was my Halloween shirt that I got from Turbofish's website, which it's something like Fish Cauldron or something like that. Hashtag sponsored, all those things. I get no money for every shirt that's sold or anything like that. But somehow I'm sure I'm caught up in this just by wearing a shirt that I did pay for, but then it got refunded. Like, this is where it gets crazy. I tried to pay for it, and yet I could get wrapped up in some kind of thingy. So, The only cut snake is late. YouTube didn't notify you. Ooh. Oh. It's hard times. Ooh, that's my first sticker, I think. Caleb Aquatics. We haven't had stickers before. Other channels have, but you got the first sticker, Caleb. Awesome. Can I do anything with it? Nope. It just stands out. It says cool. All right. When is the Pleco going in the 800, you ask? It's already there. It's been there. It's really good at hiding. It's been there since like 2 weeks after quarantine or whatever. Where is it at right now? It usually hides. Oh, I can see his tail, I think. Well, I can show you guys. No, I can't. Can I show you? Come this way. Yeah, you see that FX6 tube? It's on the back side of that against the wall, typically. So. Whoa. Whoa. All right. Did I get Siamese dog goldfish? I've never seen one in person. So I can't confirm they're actually a thing. I hope they are because they're kind of cool. What's up with the fish room? You left us on a crazy cliffhanger with those fish room totes. Yes, I think the Sunday video will be about that. That is actually the video that has the painting in it that started this whole crazy thing of me talking about the FTC. So, yeah, you should get an update. Although it's going to start off weird because I start off saying this crap is sponsored even though I don't want it to be, but, you know, whatever. What's going to go in the 800-gallon after goldfish? I don't know. Depends on when I get bored of them. Could be next week, could be 10 years. I do have fish at the store right now going through quarantine that are going in here that aren't goldfish that will live with them. So there's that. But I don't want to ruin that either. Let you guys see that when they're there. Ooh, I got the fist bump from the fish tank barn. I've never done a sticker on someone's channel either. I gotta explore that. Why don't I sell live fish online? Yoda, if you go to the Corey McElroy channel, or if someone links it, there is a whole video on why I don't. The logistics of us being up in the corner of the United States. The logistics of, for lack of a better term, being famous on the internet and the demand that puts on it. And then actually making any money off of it. So that's one of the thing we haven't been able to figure out. And it goes into all that into like an hour-long episode on details on why. But basically it comes down to we don't make money from shipping fish. And that would be a bad place for us to spend time, money, and energy as a business. So we don't. Ooh, Joel's back from Vivarium, by the way. Vivarium. Welcome back, Joel. Hope it was awesome. Super sad I didn't go, but you know, it would have been weird. Like my wife's already gone. Like we would have had to like move her being out of town, and I had a minor surgery and that kind of stuff. Like there was a bunch of stuff that I had to move around for me to go to that event, so that's why I chose not to. All right. My angels keep pecking my mystery snails. Is it trouble? Yeah, a lot of times they'll think those little antennas are worms. You could try feeding them more food. Try that. If that doesn't relinquish their attention, then you probably got to move them to another tank, which not the worst thing if you want another tank. Will guppies and mollies eat cherry shrimp? They will. That being said, they're not the biggest predators, so they won't eat adults typically, they'll eat babies. And so if you can get a big colony of shrimp going and then introduce some, likely they'll breed faster than they're eaten, which is nice. That's a very good point, Brian. It says, so the super chat means I sponsored your show? You know, honestly, that is probably legit 100% true with these crazy FTC guidelines. Yes. So you're right. That's the thing is like I feel like we've gone like so far into this that it literally is not going to make sense, because that would be 100% true. That's, yeah. Like, would it become sponsored content the minute a member of the channel left a comment? Because, oh, well, they're enjoying the content, they pledged $5. Like, I kind of digging the whole hashtag sponsored hat type of deal, though. I kind of like that. I might adopt that. I think that was a good, or at least it'll be funny. I think it'll be funny. I definitely need like a sponsored emoji now. Ooh, sponsored by members like you. What's that from? Is that from Sesame Street? Yeah, I like it. I missed a donation? I probably did. That sucks. Let's see. So I see some members, but ooh, here we go. Yes. Brian Rojas. Can I add bottom dwellers with my Pea Puffers? For the most part, no. We did have a Kung Fu Ninja Amano shrimp living with like 30 Pea Puffers as we'd sell them, and they'd keep going through that tank at the store. But that's not the norm. So I would say it's very difficult. Not impossible, but, you know, it's kind of like asking, I've got 6 cats. Can I just have a bird that just flies around my house that I don't have to watch? Like, whew. I mean, I'm not going to say I've never seen a YouTube video of cats and birds hanging out, but probably that wasn't filmed at your house. Some new members from Bay Aquatics and Buxy's 6-pack. Welcome. Any idea on what a black worm is in an aquarium? It was about 8 to 10 inches long, blunt on both ends, no fins, had a mouth and eyes. And eyes? The eyes is the weird part. You probably just had a detritus worm. They can be like a black to a really dark red color, and they can hitchhike. Babies can hitchhike in on a live plant. They're not detrimental to your aquarium. In fact, I would say beneficial. But I am not. What are worms annelids? Is that a true thing? Am I a genius right now, or am I really dumb? Let me see. Annelids. Oh wait, A-N-N-E lids. Is that a worm? Oh, I'm so smart. Although I'm sure there's someone out there going, "That's only for terrestrial worms, you moron." Like, oh, yes. But I would think that annelids, or worms in general, are part of a healthy ecosystem in an aquarium, in my opinion. All right. Ooh, we even have, I don't know. I was gonna say we have an employee in the chat, but I don't want to call them out if they don't want people to know they're an employee. So we do have a new hire, but I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. Yeah. All right. Rob Ray's TV. I missed a chat from that too. Rolling up. I did. You guys are too fast for me tonight. I apologize. Want to guest on our podcast. Episode 12 is next, the Aquarium guys. Before you have to meet these sponsor needs, promise we'll be sticking around. I think you guys, and maybe not, because this, okay, I don't know how to say this. That's going to make me sound like an idiot or ungrateful. We get a fair amount of people like asking for that kind of stuff. My thing is usually to like slow roll it. So like, if you remember the first time ever, like Randy Reed of the Aquarius podcast, like super chat $5 and I made fun of him. He now is my director of operations at Aquarium Co-op today. Same kind of thing here. It's like, I think you guys sent me an email and I was like, you've done like 2 episodes. Now you're up to like 12 episodes. I need to listen in and get a feel for your style and your vibe, which I haven't had time to do. Maybe I'll do it on a plane to China or something like that. In general, I love free promotion. So realize that I lean towards, ooh, let me do some free promotion. That'll be rad. On the other end, scheduling conflicts, and I like to put people in line. So far, I have agreed to do and be on the live stream with Caleb's Aquatics in January. John of KG Tropicals even asked me to do it this weekend. I said, nope, I'm actually too busy with prior engagements. So it's not just like creators of a certain size. Like I literally, my life lives by a calendar. And so we might be able to do something in the future, but at this exact moment, $5 got you a good shout out. Check out the aquarium guys, and maybe you guys, the listeners here, can tell me, yes, you should be on there, or no, you shouldn't. We'll crowdsource this thing. Ooh, Chad Krotz, this show was sponsored in part by viewers like you. PBS, there you go. Dang it, not that good tonight. I'm not that good, not you. I'm not that good. All right. Sup, Corey gang? How's it going? Alrighty. Oh wait, you got that one. Is there a way to introduce or trigger guppies into labor? She's boxing and holding for 2 weeks. Trio and a 20 long full of guppy grass. I don't think so. Maybe, and I would Google this. Maybe I'd look into Epsom salt, but I'm scary. I'm scared of that. I'm scared of boxy for 2 weeks. Could be dropsy. That was like a rhyme or something. Boxy for 2 weeks is dropsy. It's gotta be like a slogan, right? Ah, yes. So our newest employee gave the double thumbs up. Our newest employee that is in the chat, who has earned a taco, meaning been a member for over a year, is Jessica Doyle. Now works at our warehouse. Brand new this week. Hopefully she's having a good time. Still likes us enough to, I think she worked today. I actually don't know if that's true or not. But listening to us nonetheless. So hopefully all is well. Oh no, Tam Crude says that is only for terrestrial worms. Dang it. One day I'll be smarter. One day. How old do swordtails have to be in order to determine male and female? I mean, there's probably swordtail nerds that are like, oh, 12 minutes in, I know. But usually for me, it's like almost 3 months. Because they can take a long time to develop that gonopodium. So it can be, they're one of the hardest for me, personally. All right. Can I please do another collab with Steenfot? Probably. Right now, as you've heard, I'm not really collaborating with anyone due to scheduling conflicts. Like, my life's been crazy the last few weeks, and it still is crazy. We're just trying to keep up with the pile at this point. So probably at some point, because he lives close. All right, what do we got? Tony says, hey, I sent you a very important on your team support on your website discussing business. All right. I mean, I would tell you that we probably get 50 of those emails a day where it's like, I've got important business. And then we filter through them and go, it doesn't seem that important. That being said, if the team of people think, oh, Corey needs to see this, it has been escalated to me. That being said, your name being Tony, I don't remember seeing. I remember getting an email from, I think, a Julie today. Let me see. No, Erica. I have an email from Erica to mull over and review. And the title of that is Partnership Inquiry. Like, we get that kind of stuff a lot. So it might make its way through. All right. Talk about apple snails, they're nice. I did talk about them. We have videos on them. They are lovable, cuddly. They make great pillows at night, and they're easy to breed. What more can you want? Will I ever carry Bacter AE? I won't say never, but I think it's a very niche product. And so that doesn't mean that I wouldn't carry it. But the problem I find with niche products is that usually there's minimum orders that we have to meet. And does it make sense? Like, a lot of companies set up their distribution the way it's like, well, when you spend $5,000, you get this price. It's like 30% off everything. Oh, you only want $400 of Bacter AE? There's no discount. And so therefore, I'm not competitive with someone who's willing to sell Bacter AE plus all their other products. So it's basically a rabbit hole I haven't gone down because I'm lazy or I don't have enough time. Or not having enough time is probably the more accurate answer. Got food stacked up all over the place. I was shooting videos today. Male panda lyre-tail molly with very long tips. Tips are lighter in color than the black tail. Is this normal? Should this be a problem or an issue? He's only one like this. I don't think so. Probably just pigment probably takes a little bit longer to get there. If it's not receding, then I wouldn't worry about fin rot. I think you're doing okay. What awesome plant is behind me? This awesome plant? That. Oh man, see, I moved my camera. It's all screwed up now. You're seeing. There we go. That is a Crinum calamastratum. And yes, I'd love that plant. There's actually, you can see there's actually two of them. So we started with that big one and it made that baby. See the two? It's happy. It doesn't like being moved. It died back twice. Every time I move it. So. All right. You talked about our previous videos about bloodworms for African dwarf frogs, but are there any commercial foods that are beneficial for them? Beneficial is a tricky word. So a decent quality food would be beneficial in that it gets them fed, but I'm not sure there's any food out there that I'm like, you know what, this helps an African dwarf frog more than another food. It comes down to like cleanliness of like the way the food feeds. I mean, I think frozen foods are really good for African dwarf frogs. Yeah, that's pretty much I mean, like pellets, they gotta get soft enough for them to eat it, but then they're kind of messy. I think it's, I think frozen food is the one that I can really say has an advantage. So. Over 1,000 in chat. That's right. Hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you've been around forever and you got $5 burning a hole in your pocket, become a member. Because, yes, like brick for brick, because that $5 actually just helps us get more in YouTube's favor, which is slowly getting us more features if the implementation was right. Somehow, yeah. Once I can do it, then I can talk about it. But if I can't do it, I'm afraid, because I had to sign an NDA about it, and I don't want to get in trouble. So I'm doing a lot. Being an influencer or someone in front of people on social media, I'm doing a lot of trying not to get in trouble. Seems like anything I do could get me in trouble at this point. Uh-oh. You'll end up like the NASCAR drivers who have all their sponsors on their cars and race suits. I think that's actually a hilariously good idea. What if I just always wore like the tracksuit and I had all these patches? Like just go so above and beyond. I'm sure I get in trouble for that too, somehow. Ooh, Sarah, glad to hear it. Got introduced to the hobby, pulled you out of depression. Good. Hopefully it keeps you out of there and is a new way of life. You know, luckily I haven't had that happen to me yet, as in get depressed, get pulled out of it by fish, but you know, I don't want to say envious, but I do appreciate the people that have had a life change based on fish. Like I obviously became my career, very thankful for it, but it helps a lot of people get past abusive relationships, helps them get past drug addictions. Also, we found that to be very strong in the nursing industry, long, hard hours with sick people all the time. Seeing some nature thrive at home really helps too. So I'm always intrigued by the different uses of an aquarium. Like I use it for financial gain and I do enjoy it. Whereas like as a therapy thing, I don't experience that really. I got it in small doses when I used to lay on the floor and like look at some of the lower tanks of guppies and stuff. But I've never had it in massive amounts where it's like, by being in this room, I now feel better. I kind of wish it was, because then I would probably do more work. Will 5 Corys be okay by themselves in a 10-gallon? Most likely, yeah. Just, you know, make sure you check in on them every day and feed them well and give them some attention. Those are all good things. I had a buried shrimp that doesn't have any eggs anymore, yet I don't see any baby shrimps at all. What happened? I even got a sponge filter. Well, they could have been eaten by other fish if you have those. Sometimes they'll just drop eggs prematurely if they're like a young mother or they get spooked. Other times, maybe like until you see it, it's one of those things, if you don't see it, you don't know what you're looking for. Once you see baby shrimp, you're like, oh, I actually see them all over the place. Or they could just be hiding really well. Those are really the options there that I can think of. But usually it's only a matter of time till you're like, I got a factory going. Are there really no sales on the 3.0s this holiday? As far as I know, Matthew, there are no... Well, I can say this. There will be no specific sales on Fluval lights. Probably any Fluval product, honestly. Like, the tariffs and the shipping increases... So, the honest truth is, we're considering not even carrying them because we don't make money. If we discount it, we just strictly lose money. And so that's where we are. Not even the fact that I'm not allowed to do it, but just like at this point, we probably shouldn't even have them on the website, let alone here's an extra deal to sell them. So I don't know what to do because I don't want to not offer lighting. I also don't want to not make money. So it's a bad spot to be when you know like work's being done by employees and that kind of stuff. And you're like, each one they touch, we don't make money or we lose money. So that's why it's highly likely, like they might get caught in the crossfire of like, oh, it's like right now, technically there's a sale going on. There's a coupon code for members, right? It's different than the one that's on the website right now. That might save you some off of a light, but there won't be any specific things. So they might get caught in the crossfire of like, oh yeah, the whole website's got a sale going, right? But nothing like specific for them. Guppy Guru? Wow, with a $50 sticker, no less. Well, thank you. I like it. Ooh, if I click on top, like I have a cartoon. I can dig it. Are you allowed to put words with a sticker, or do you only get a sticker? Because I think every sticker so far has just been stickers. Will Hamilton says, finally became a member. Always love the content. Are there any Plecos you can't mix with other Plecos? YouTube be tripping. I mean, there's some Plecos that are pretty predatory / aggro, but for the most part, it's kind of a mix and match group of fish. I'm trying to think of ones. I don't know that I know the Pleco species enough to know don't mix this with that one. But there are some that are just more aggressive than others. But even then, I feel like I could get a way for them to work together. I don't know. I think if it's that hard for me to come up with a reason to not do it, you're probably okay. Can Apistos and killifish be together in a 20 tall? Yeah, I think so. My thoughts about freshwater clams and mussels in an aquarium. They typically do okay for maybe a month, and then they starve out because we don't feed enough food for them to filter out of the water. So it's like feeding bamboo shrimp, except the bamboo shrimp can go pick off the ground, which that's a sign they're starving, by the way, where the mussels and the clams can't do that, so they typically starve out. So you'd really want to be feeding a very fine powdered food, or maybe even something like a reef snow, which I haven't tried that, but I would think it might work well. Nothing big, but I'm pretty dang excited. I found out my local fish store in the area had CPDs, and I just had to buy some. I think that's super cool. I mean, I used to have to ban myself from going to fish stores. I used to go, even though I worked at a store, I used to visit every fish store in the area every week. And so it would make my wife angry, fiance, or probably girlfriend, one of the two at the time, because I would get off work and then I would go visit other stores that stayed open later and get home even later. But I always want to see what fish they were getting in, so maybe we could order it, or if someone traded something in cool, or they had a local breeder breeding something cool and I wanted to get a hold of it. Like, half of finding cool fish is just showing up to stores week after week after week. Like, Dean gets his cool stuff because he visits so many stores every week and just like wants to see what's going on. What's new? What's this? What's that? We're always on the lookout for stuff. And it's because we know that by the time stuff hits like a wholesaler, there's going to be massive amounts. It's the cool new stuff that's like, oh, where'd that come from? I don't know. You got to track it down. Be on the lookout. Brick for Brick became a member. Welcome on. Andy Brio. Cool sticker, man. LJ and Russ Nyes. Welcome. My retail store gonna have the goldfish tubs in the back anytime soon? No, it won't, David Buck. The goldfish tubs never justified their existence, and what I mean by that is purely that they did not sell well out of those tubs. So they'll most likely rotate between the 90-gallon cube, the 55-gallon that we rotate goldfish / discus through, and we might come up with a couple more tanks to have some more small goldfish. In general, goldfish have never been a good seller for us in terms of like a profitable thing. It's a labor of love. I love them. But in general, when we order goldfish, even high-end ones, so many have defects that the order on the whole is not profitable. Copy Dean's brine shrimp hatching bottle. I'm struggling to get the tubing coming out of the lid to seal. I already tried silicone and cannot get it to stick. Let me think. Copy Dean's brine shrimp hatching bottle. As far as I know, he doesn't have anything on the top. He has all of the air come from the bottom through the cap, right? Let me think here. Okay, I'm struggling to get the tube coming out of the lid to seal. So you definitely want to get silicone tubing that is very pliable and drill the hole smaller than the tubing so you're going to get a good friction fit. Then you're going to want to put silicone on each side of it, and that will do it. You might even be able to hot glue it, or if you could try using a soldering iron, push that through the cap, and while it's still hot, try to don't use your fingers, but maybe Q-tips to mold it around that piece of tubing to give you further, I guess, mating surface is the word I was probably looking for. Are emperor gudgeons community fish or aggressive? I would say semi-aggressive. You can make them work with like rainbows and some other big fish, but not small fish typically. What would you stock a 40-gallon that's really colorful and easy to keep? Goldfish. That's what I would do. I'm a newbie. I can't tell if my betta has fin rot, or it's torn, or it's naturally torn looking. Can I send anyone pics for an opinion? You can send us one at team@aquariumcoop.com, and you'll take a quick look, and she'll weigh in on it. But other than that, I don't really have another way for you to get a hold of us other than that. So you paid $5. We'll give you a quick little, ooh, it looks like this, or ooh, I'd do this. You could also just run some meds through there if you were really worried, or some salt if you don't have live plants, either one of those, and just be sure. Matthew Vargas. Oh no, we've lost another soldier. Going down the Pleco hole. Oh no. Would a large spot L18 work in an 18-gallon community tank with a bristle nose and an L264? Do they really get 9 to 10 inches? And would I put a 3-foot... No, would I put a 3.0 2-footer on 20 long? All right, there's a lot in there. I got to unpack it all. So let me make sure I know what an L118 is. L118 Pleco. Is that a bulldog Pleco? Let me see. Oh, it's a gold nugget. It's one of the gold nugget types. In my experience, they don't get that big. They're more like 4 to 6 inches. And also in my experience, most L118s are mixed up with L177s and the other type of gold nugget Pleco also. And rarely do you get them that big because you're not feeding them enough protein. But will they get along with a bristlenose and a sultan pleco? Probably, assuming you've got the right setup going on with lots of caves and line of sight blocks. And on a 40-gallon, okay, somehow my brain kept thinking it was a 20. Wait. Well, that's why, because all of those plecos happen in 40. Would I put a 3.02 footer on a 20 long? No, I wouldn't. That's so much lighting power. I honestly would go with a 30-inch Phoenix Stingray. That's what I would do personally. Works out, still be high light, but much cheaper, slimmer profile, and not the surface of the sun. All right, Steve Miller became a member. All right, woo! Oh wait, he said L118, not L18. Is that true? No, it says L18 on here. But I will look up L118. At least on my screen it says 118. Which is also a gold nugget pleco. So, yes, same difference. There's at least 3 plecos that get sold as gold nugget plecos, unfortunately. Is there a pleco I can add to a 40-gallon with 2 Aranda goldfish in it? I would try like what I run in here. I've got a bristlenose, I've got a reticulated hillstream loach, and I've got a rubber lip pleco. I've got the common. Don't recommend the common, but the other ones you could try. Any of those. Look up an L8. Isn't the L8 just like the Pitbull or the... Like LDA 08 is the Claro pleco. That's what's the problem is, like, it gets harder, like, LDA 08, L8, L18, like, it's getting difficult, even for my brain. Yeah, I don't see anything with an L8, but an LDA 08 is a Claro pleco. Dwarf Claro. What do I think about adding a fire tornado incorporating into the tank? I don't know. Like, if it's some kind of crazy spinner thing, maybe. But I don't know. I don't really envision what we're asking there. I mean, I kind of do, but not sure. I'm stuck with male turtles for so far since I initially gathered that it could be a problem with females to not have a lay box. Is that actually true if they're housed with a mature male? I'm not the crazy biggest turtle connoisseur. That being said, like in my setup, if I don't have the lay box in there, they just lay the eggs in the tank anyway, and they typically get eaten. And that's what most people on turtle forums have happen also. That being said, I'm sure there's corner cases where it is a problem, but I don't know. Who made the decision to give Plecos numbers? I think it was DATS magazines or the collectors that were doing that. They were finding them so fast, they didn't have a good naming system. Any idea if a gold ram can spread lymphocytis to gouramis and neon tetras, or is it specific to the strains? I don't know that answer. Yeah. Because I don't have a scientific background to actually test that, and it would purely be, here's what I've seen, not what I think is actually happening. So I don't have a clear answer, unfortunately, for you, Tara. If I ever get a chance and we have Dr. Tim Miller Morgan on, bring that question up again. Good luck, Colin, with the new green spotted puffer. Hopefully, I think we talked before, maybe? I don't know if you were the one that had a problem with the first one. Ooh, cool as crumbs are the Hillstream Plecos. I like that. Is 29 an okay for a 7-inch common Pleco for the moment? Sure. I mean, technically, any body of water that will remain stable and healthy is fine for some amount of time. People usually will jump all over you when it's like, how long? You're not feeding it enough. All that kind of stuff. But we don't know any of that. But if you're asking, could I keep a 7-inch Pleco in a 29-gallon tank? Yes. Change a lot of water, feed a lot of food. Yep, definitely could. Trying to make an underwater waterfall. What's a good pump to buy? Typically, the underwater waterfalls are run by air. So you use PVC, an airlift system, and a collection tray for the sand. At least from all the ones that I've seen done. I mean, I have seen them done with a pump too, but I think it's better to use airlift system. You don't run into impeller issues. All right, we're like running out of questions. Usually you guys are attacking me for answering all the super chats, and here we are, like running out. Piranha tank mates? Silver dollars, other big fish. Just nothing super small for the most part. Tank mates for puffers in a 20-gallon. Their Pea Puffers are best with Pea Puffers. Oh, Randy says, yes, you can take 2 half cylinders, place them at just a little air coming from the sides. All right, well, that's how you make a fire tornado in there. I'll have to see it to understand it. How do you keep African dwarf frogs from being outcompeted? You can't really, other than target feeding. It's best to place them with species that aren't going to eat all their food. Concerns with undergravel filter and live plants? I don't have any concerns. Most people are afraid they're going to get clogged up. I don't run that concern because at the point where you have so many plants that's clogged up, you don't need an undergravel filter anymore. So it's kind of self-serving. Will cherry shrimp reproduce at temperatures below 70 or 65? I'm not sure if I specifically know that answer. I haven't seen where they stop breeding. I know they can overwinter for sure, but I don't know at what point is the coldest that they will stop reproduction. I think it's below like 70 and up for sure. At 65, I feel like they would stop. Like I did unheated room in a room upstairs one time, and that room ran about 60 something. So I feel like that's where I would go. Someone says no piranha tank mates. Then don't do piranha tank mates. They're illegal here, so I don't have firsthand experience. I can only go based on what I've seen. And for the most part, I see them beat up on each other and live with other large fish that can take a bite on their fins. How much Epsom salt should I use for guppies? I don't know if you're the one that asked about your pregnant guppy. I don't know. I would Google it. But in general, for general guppies, I wouldn't add any. What happened to unboxing videos? The summer happened. Like, we don't order as many fish. There's not as many good things to open. So instead of just being like, look, it's neon tetras, cardinal tetras, stir-by corridoras, guppies, dojo loaches, and koi. Like, if I did that every week, your second statement of I found it to be a fun way of learning about new species would be void because there's no new species there. So now that the aquarium season's back on, pardon me, we've already filmed one and it might be coming out this Sunday. I don't know. It's already been filmed and edited. I just don't know what day it comes out yet. And we'll see. If they do well, we'll make more. If they do just as well as they used to do, we won't make more because they were a declining, like, of the videos we make, even YouTube was like, you should stop making these ones. People just don't watch them as much as your other videos. And so it's like, oh, fair, okay. Have I tried passive CO2 diffusion like that at Ocean's Aquarium? Yep. We have systems we even sell in the store that do that. We just can't ship them. I have 2 piranhas. Don't put them with any other tank mates. My first criticism would be, why do you only have 2? Like that, 2 piranhas, they're going to be far more aggressive than a pack of piranhas. like exodons. When you're down to 2, they'll bite your arm off. When you have a bigger group, it disperses the aggression. Which exodons are legal here, so I do have experience with those. Let's see. Looking for fish stocking. I gotta decipher this. Dead for an outside pond that will be okay outside. It's 100 degrees summers other than goldfish. Looking for stocking dead. Maybe it was supposed to be ideas? I think it's supposed to be ideas for an outside pond. That'll go up to 100. Rice fish. Probably pumpkin seed fish. A lot of natives here. Like, probably, what am I thinking of? Like, Heterana formosa, pygmy sunfish, 100 degrees, huh? I mean, assuming you're in the shade, you should never get to 100-degree water temperature, but it's going to be hard if you're actually hitting 100 degrees in the water temp. How many ranchu goldfish can I keep in a 55? Probably 70. If you change 100% of the water every 3 hours. If you're asking how many does the conventional wisdom tell you? 3. 3 is what conventional wisdom would tell you. 30 gallons for the first, 1 every 10 gallons after that. Roughly that's 3. Depending on how much you want to be a slave to the maintenance is how many you'll get to do. I recommend 3 or 4. And how do I know you can fit 70? Because wholesalers do it all the time. So that's how many can like physically fit, and they can even grow in there, and you can keep them from even stunting by changing enough water. But that might not be what you want to do. So it's an extreme way of saying how much work are you willing to do? That will limit what you should be keeping. What do I enjoy more, business or the hobby? Business. The hobby well, that's going to sound weird. It used to be the most enjoyable thing, but because I spend all the time talking about it, like right now, if I spend 2 hours talking about fish, the last thing I'll want to do for a hobby is go look at my fish. But on a day off where I'm not filming or not doing some stuff, it's like, ooh, let me go check out my fish. So because we film a lot, that usually means that I prefer the business, which I do a lot of business too, but business, the way my job is, it's very open. I can focus on different avenues if I want to. So it keeps it fresh. Like this week I'm working on the website. Oh, this week I'm working on product development. Oh, this week I'm going to China. Oh, this week I'm going to the UK. Like that's different than, let's say, is looking at my 20 aquariums every day in my own fish room. How to get Amazon puffers to eat? Put him in a tank by himself. He just glass surfs, and that's about it. Not sure what to do. I did met him. Try turning the temperature up. Put him at like 82 or so. Keep some live snails in there. Like by elevating the temperature, usually you stimulate an appetite. You could try frozen bloodworms, soaking it in like garlic guard or something that might be more of a stimulant to their appetite. Sometimes not changing anything, like I don't know how long you've had it, but maybe it's going to go on a hunger strike for 30 days and then start eating. You could try live worms, like live black worms. You basically have to try like all these little different experiments to see if they take to one. And from there, you start working on getting on to more and more things. But in the abstract of like, what should I do? Start trying some of those things I laid out to see if any of those resonate with your puffer. But it's not uncommon, especially if you only got one. Like it's easier when you have a bunch. Like, oh, some are eating, and other ones go, oh, it's okay, I can start eating too. I bought API erythromycin for mouth rot. I asked about last week. I followed the directions, but the white spot is still there. When will I see a change? You probably should have already seen a change if it was diagnosed correctly as mouth rot. So, like a white spot, depending on what it looks like, could be, let's say it's a fungal infection, or maybe it is columnaris, which is mouth rot, or maybe it is a cyst. So, a lot of times when we use a medication the way it's supposed to be used, and it's a known medication that works well, then if it's not working, we have to ask, did maybe I misdiagnose? Is there something else going on I could be missing of like, Like if you had stray electrical current in the water, and that's what caused that outbreak, medicine's not going to fix it. Fixing the current would. But I would say that probably that the erythromycin isn't going to get it, just because you probably don't have one of these other outliers. But I can't know that without looking at it. So kind of analyze, is it stressed out? No. Okay, this med didn't work. Does it really look like mouth fungus, or does it look like a cyst? Does it look like a fungal growth? And that's the hardest part, is if you're not used to seeing those things, you're not good at diagnosing those things either. As you see and battle through more illnesses, you get more adept at beating them the first try. All right. Do I like saltwater tanks? I find them enjoyable. I think reef tanks are pretty, but I think there's a lot of saltwater fish that are very cool. I really have an affinity for like seahorses, Banggai cardinals, mandarin gobies. I think pods are really cool. I think the equipment's very cool. But yeah, I'm not huge into reefs. I mean, I've kept them, and they are pretty, but I think there's a lot of other stuff to enjoy. There's an aquarium season? Yes. So in general, people that like aquariums like nature. In the summer, people like to go hike, they like to garden, they like to spend time outdoors. When they're doing that, also they like to travel. When you're doing all of those things, you're not thinking about, how do I buy new fish? How do I do all these things? You're kind of keeping them alive or whatever. And then you really engage with them. And I would say most pets are that way. So maybe during the height of Thanksgiving and Christmas, you take care of your cat and your dog, you feed them every day, you know, and that's par for the course. But then maybe in the summer, you're like, yeah, let's go for a walk. Let's go. The weather's nice. Let's do that. Let's go on a trail. Let's do this. Let's do that. And so even like most pet ownership would have seasonality to it. And it just is exacerbated. Like people typically don't buy 12 discus a month before they go on a vacation to Europe for years, or not a year, but a month or something like that. So there's a lot of, well, we'll do it when we get back type of mentality. I have an auto water change running on my unplanted 29, keeping nitrates under 10 ppm at all times. Do I have a favorite gravel vac, battery powered or other, to recommend that won't drain water? No. I only believe in changing water by gravel vacuuming, because you get the best suction from it. So what I do with an auto water change system is I would gravel vac, take out all the gunk, and just let it refill from the auto water change system. That's what I do in my tanks. And yeah, it takes a few days and everything, but you know, one way you're taking out water either way. Either it's going to overflow or you're going to take it out with a water change. Now, if you're changing massive amounts of water, that could be a problem, but I don't recommend that either. You should be pinching the hose, minimizing the amount of water coming out. And if you're bad at it, maybe you only want to do it half at a time. But really, you should be able to like clean almost any size tank with only taking like an inch or two of water out if you're trying to do that. Like making an effort to not do that. 3 Pea Puffers in a 10-gallon? Could be. You know, we've got a video on that. Male-female ratio matters, but that is a very common setup. Don't listen to them, Corey. I love the unboxing. Well, my counter to that is I listen to what people watch, because doing work to lose money is not fun. Oh no, I spilled water on myself. And so, for instance, like, videos have to make money, because if they don't, oh, my shirt's all wet. If they don't, that doesn't pay Jimmy's salary. It doesn't pay Candy's salary. It doesn't pay Irene's salary. It doesn't, you know, like there's a lot of people that rely on, if the videos don't do well, money doesn't get generated to pay for these things. And they all have vital roles in the production of these videos. And even like Robert at the store wants the videos to do well. And so part of his thing is, what can I order so that we can educate the public about through video? And there's like a lot of people working on these videos. And like even right now, Dean's probably sitting there going, ooh, I got an idea, because we're going to hang out, I think, this Sunday, and we're going to shoot some videos. And So all these people are working on this stuff, and when it doesn't do as well as it could, it becomes a why. Like, I for sure could make a video tomorrow all about this camera, but it becomes why. If 5,000 people only watch it, and I could make a video about something fish related and 50,000 people watch it, why wouldn't I do that? And so there is a balance between, just because something's not popular doesn't mean it shouldn't not be talked about, but it has to be a reason why. And like an unboxing video, we literally have like 60 of them on the channel, right? Whereas maybe talking about Project Piaba also won't get views, but we only have one video on that. And so it might make sense to do another Project Piaba video before doing an unboxing if we know we're basically not going to recoup the money from that project. And that's the way we kind of have to look at it. So if it doesn't resonate with the viewers, then we have to question, why isn't it? What could we do better? And if you watch all 60 unboxings, you'll see that we've tried a crazy amount of stuff. We've tried different people unboxing. We've tried different styles. We've tried different cameras. We've tried different audio. We've tried so many things, and none of them really go, okay, yeah, this is doing what it needs to do. It's like, oh, it's just below average consistently. It's kind of like we get a D every time. Like the grade on it's like a D. Like, well, it didn't fail, but we're really striving for B's and higher here. And if we were like, we took the test 60 times and we always get a D. Like, okay, we really got to figure something out, or just go take a different type of class. Like, oh, I'm just bad at that. Like maybe we'll never be good at unboxings, and someone else will be very good at it. So we just try stuff. Best way to treat swim bladder disease? I would start with an antibiotic and something with greens in it. So maybe peas with the shell taken off if they'll eat it. Depends on the type of fish. You could try, like, I've been putting this through the paces. This is some spirulina flake. Some kind of green-based food. Maybe brine shrimp's got a lot of fiber in it, especially the ones with why does my brain not work? It's not algae brine shrimp. What do they call it? Spirulina brine. Whew, dang. So some spirulina brine. Get their system moving, and then after that, it could be like kidney failure or something like that. So if we know they're going to the bathroom and things are moving through them, those are good things. Ooh, we've got new members that I missed earlier. Stephen Miller and Beth Ross, thank you very much. Bill Smith with the follow-up. Do I need an airstone if I'm running a trickle filter? Pot scrubbers in a bucket, water trickling through the open air. I would say probably not. Without having an oxygen test, we can't know for sure. That system does add a lot of oxygen, but that does not mean that we have a ton. So for instance, oxygen levels are higher by putting airstones in here than just having them in my sump. Odds, without testing, but odds are your trickle system is probably oxygenating enough. If you really want to know, buy a oxygen test kit, give it a test, put your mind at ease. I know you're a huge fan of live plants. What about for kids? Definitely for kids, Jason. I would focus on Anubias, Java ferns, Crypts I really like, and kind of set it and forget it. I would not so much go for like dosing fertilizers. Like the Crypts, you could do an enriched substrate or root tabs or just a ton of fish poop. Same with Java fern and Anubias, and I would get them to appreciate, like, my plants are getting bigger and I planted them and get some success, and not so much focus on are they growing as big and as fast as they can. I wouldn't be freaking out about algae. I would just get them, if they're paying attention to it, that's the win, right? If they're going, look, I got a new algae, or look at this thing, and a lot of kids will pick up on like the adult around them. So they're like, oh, dang, look at this algae. We got to get rid of that. They're going to see algae as a negative thing, which in nature, it's actually pretty beneficial. And for that system, it's pretty beneficial. So we could learn about it and we could let them make a determination. Do we want to get rid of the algae, or do they like it? A lot of times you'll find kids love the algae because it grows fast, and snails will be on it, and it'll catch food, and it's an interesting thing. And so I'm a fan of plants. I mean, kids are always attracted to fish more than plants, but you know, you do what you can. Is it true that in a tank with only female swordtails, the dominant female can change sexes? I believe that is a wives' tale, and that it's just that it can take very long for a swordtail to finish sexing out. And the reason why I say I believe this, because I know I've gone down the rabbit hole and I've read studies, but it's been so long now, I don't want to make it seem like I'm delivering a 100% fact when I haven't fact-checked it in probably 8 years. And so if I'm misremembering, I don't want that to become pseudo-fact. But I believe the study I was reading was that they can take a very long time to actually develop a gonopodium, and they were able to use DNA to show that they were basically male the whole time, but didn't present male visually until a way long time into it. All right. I just bought Val Grass. What are my thoughts on it? I love it. Vallisneria, one of my all-time favorite plants for sure. It is the wonder plant. Add jungle val. Boom. Wonderland. As long as you get it to grow. Almost forgot to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that like button. I guess every time I say hit that like button, I should also say, like, everything I talk about is sponsored. Yes. This person keeps asking, is H2O plants good? Is their vital fertilizer comparable to Easy Green? It's an all-in-one fertilizer. It was developed after ours. It is more expensive than ours, but most fertilizers will get you to where you need to go. If you already own it, keep using it. I don't think ours is going to be drastically different for you. We have changed our blend over the years bit by bit. I don't know if his has changed at all. So that would be my answer there. As far as H2O plants goes, from seeing them at conventions and overall online presence, I feel like they have dwindled in their marketing campaigns, and that it used to be they were super pushing hard to grow their business, and then now it's not that they stopped, but I feel like it's at a lesser degree of like maybe a slower moving type of thing. I've never purchased a plant for them, so I couldn't speak to their quality. I'm sure others could, but I've never bought one of their plants because I provide plants as well, so no reason to buy them. Jennifer Merva, welcome. This water was sponsored by the Seattle Water Authority. Not my water. And no, H2O plants wasn't sponsored either. If anything, opposite of sponsored. Any idea how long Colmenaris lives in the water with no host? That I don't know. We need more kind of scientists observing that, because I don't know that answer. By the way, did anyone watch the ick video by Primetime Aquatics? That video is awesome. I'm jealous of the way that video came out, and we should ask Primetime Aquatics to do a video on Colmenaris, because I think he's got the biology background, he's a teacher naturally, he owns these textbooks, and he's got equipment to actually do this. I think that's a perfect person to ask, and that's why I helped. Not only did I promote his video, because I thought it was really good and better than my own, I also put it on our blog. We put out a blog about ICX. By the way, if you haven't signed up, if you make an account on our website, you'll automatically get emailed the blog. But we released a blog about ick, and it linked to my video. And then I saw his video that came out a couple days later, and it is so much better than my video. So thorough, and really, I think, answers the questions that we put his video on my blog post. He's okay with it. He appreciates it and all that. But it is really good. And so with ick, watch that video, and hopefully he'll get it again. So it's like that YouTube thing of like, hopefully that video will be worth it, because I know I could tell how much time went into making that video and studying and putting your thoughts together and making like a 27-minute video that really covers ick in depth. Really well done. And you know, I told him that, and I genuinely he put in way more time and effort and made a way better video than I ever will on ick. It's really well done. Yeah, so go watch that. Ask him to work on some other diseases because he did really well. All right. Will I be selling those Peru whiptails when you get them to spawn? Probably not. That's me being honest. What'll probably happen is if I spawn them, then I'll probably give them to Dean or someone else, and then they'll spawn them and then they'll sell them. Like I don't know how to explain it other than me selling a fish like that will just be a disaster. It's just like my employees will hate me because there'll be a mob to get them. There'll be people calling the store and all this stuff, and I don't want that. And so there's not nearly enough money on the line to justify the grief that all the employees and the beating that Candy's gonna have to take through email and all that. So I would much rather get my enjoyment and pass it along to someone else, let them make money and deal with all of that, than put our team through that. So that's probably why I would not. If they do, they would land in the store, be relatively unannounced, and move incognito that way. My view on Tetra's river shrimp, baby shrimp food. I don't know if I know that one. Is that the one that has the freshwater shrimp in it? Tetra river shrimp. I'll type that in and see if that. If we're talking about the one that I know about, the sun-dried, well, that's sun-dried krill. River shrimp at Petco, that's also krill. You know, I don't know if it's a specific food. Oh, is this for sale? By the way, all these places, you're not allowed to sell Tetra, you traitors. I wish I could sell it. Apparently, I'm the only one that follows the rules, though. Anyway, I don't know if this is specifically the food, but what keeps coming up is the freeze-dried krill. What I look for in a freeze-dried krill is it too crunchy? And the best way I can describe that is, and I had this happen because I was testing freeze-dried krill, but it was a package like this, and I stuck my hand in to grab some, and I came back out, and there was krill stuck underneath the cuticle of my finger. Like, it was so stabby that I was like, ow! And that's what I don't like about krill. I like it to be, I don't like them to freeze dry it so much that it becomes like powdery, dusty, and dry. I like it so that you can feel it, and there's still some oil left. And I honestly think that the krill out of the Tetra Jumbo metal can is very good. Whereas, like, I suspect out of this little container, that freeze-dried shrimp will be like the kind I don't like. You want it to be like a little bit pliable and have some of the oil in it still. It'll feed better. It'll do better for your fish. It won't stab you in the cuticle. It won't hurt your fish. And so I'm looking for a correct, I don't want to say humidity, but a moisture content in there. And so just from the picture and seeing the way it's dried, I lean towards, ooh, I might not like that. That being said, I don't think I've used this one in a very long time. Years and years and years and years. So it could have changed 40 times by then. That's not sponsored, by the way. They don't pay me to tell them they suck. My experience with food that Rummy-Nose love, mine are very picky, an alternative to bloodworms and a variety of dry foods. I would love you to take this challenge, Hung. For you only, right now. Buy some of the krill flake and feed it. If they won't eat it, I'll refund your money. But we literally have wild discus. A lot of the fish, like the angelfish that Randy brought back from Peru, wouldn't eat frozen bloodworms, wouldn't eat frozen brine shrimp, wouldn't eat all of his foods. He had to get them onto live blackworms. Then he tried some of this while he was feeding his other fish, and they ate this right away. Like, we have found a lot of fish love how much krill is in here, and fish are going bananas for it. So if you buy some and it doesn't work out for you, I'll refund your money and I'll just eat it and be like, dang it. But I really do think it would work well for you, because you want stuff besides frozen. Because if you can go frozen, get yourself frozen baby brine and frozen cyclops. Both those are what we use to really fatten up our rummy nose at the store. And so I should clarify that. Why don't we don't feed a lot of flake food at the store? Because we have different employees, and different employees feed different amounts, and sometimes they're not always watching. So they're like, you put food in, it does fine because you had 200 rummy nose tetras in there, and then you have the day off and you come back and you feed them, you put the same amount of food in there. Like, we sold 150 of them though. There's only 50. You put way too much food in. So we typically do it at the store where it's only frozen food. So it's like, oh, 2 or 3 cubes go in, and that's it. And we can monitor that way easier than this employee feeds this much, this employee feeds that much. We can streamline it. So that's why we end up doing a lot of frozen foods at the store, for strictly streamlining. A lot of people want to know about dwarf frogs. Well, what's the best food? They'll only eat bloodworms freeze-dried so far. A lot of frozen foods that sink to the bottom. Frozen brine shrimp, frozen bloodworms, frozen tube effects worms. I would stick with mostly of those. Ooh, this guy named Krusty something says he's got a Fortnite live stream. Come watch. Huh. Good marketing. Come to a fish stream, market Fortnite. You're on to something. I know it. What are my thoughts on a deep sand bed for helping complete the nitrogen cycle, like shown at Aquarium Ocean Store Tour? I think there's a lot of optimization to go on there. And Dean, now that, well, I can't say that. I was about to disclose where, like, how do I even say this? I don't know if I can say that. I don't know if he wants me to say that. Dean's spending a lot of time in California and visiting Justin at Ocean Aquariums a lot. Actually, a few weeks ago, asked him about this very thing. He learned it from his dad. And our conclusion is, we think there's something to it. We're not convinced that you need like 7 inches of substrate. We wonder, would you get the same benefit out of 4, 3.5, 4.5? Like, we think there's a lot of optimization to go on there. And we would love to know, like, we know that typically in gravel, the first 1 inch on a sponge filter or gravel or anything like that is where bacteria can really thrive. After that, it starts getting devoid of oxygen. Does that same rule apply to the substrate? We think it does, but is it the same bacteria that would grow at 7 inches? That we don't know, because we don't have 100 tanks like Justin does running 7 inches of substrate. So we do know there's things to learn, but we also know that the first person to do something doesn't mean they got it right the first try. Or did Justin's dad spend his whole life testing that and refine it to 7 inches, and we're just missing that piece of information? I don't know. But I do think there is something to it, and we keep wanting to explore. What about super chats? As far as I know, I've only missed... No, I've missed a bunch. All right, I'm bad at my job. All right, let me hop in here. Ideas for bigger tanks, 75 gallons plus, from LJ. If you're still in the chat, LJ, tell me what you like. Because there's hundreds of species that will do well in a 75-gallon tank. You could do African cichlids, Central American cichlids. You could do a library tank. You could do brackish. You could do oddballs. You could do a planet tank. You know, there's so many ideas that if you said, like, well, I'd love it to be centered around bala sharks, or I'd love it to be centered around this or that, that's easier for me to help you with than here's a blank canvas. You know, it's like, give me ideas to make for dinner. I have a kitchen. It's like, well, what do you feel like? Like, a little bit more context there will really help me give you a suggestion that you could walk away with and go, yeah, that's a good idea. I want to do that. So we'll hopefully, I'm watching for you. If you chime back in with, here's the way I'm leaning, we'll delve into that a little harder for you. All right. Catching up. New members from Nova Bound and Jennifer Merva. Just bought some co-op stuff for my 6th tank. Keep up the great content. I learned so much from you and your people. My 20-gallon tall is gonna be sweet. I'm sure it is. More tanks, more better. I do want to say thank you for buying from us, and I do need to ask you guys, like, please, if you're on the fence, buy some stuff. We could really use it. We're not out of money or going out of business, but I need to be more forceful in that, hey, buy from us, please, instead of our competitors or something like that. It helps make everything easier. We would love to raise some more money so we can have a little more money to spend when we're in China to work with some of these companies and develop products. Some of the things I'm looking at are heaters, which would be very, very expensive to get into, and a few other choice products. I don't want to give away all my secrets, but I do have things that we are on the list that we're actively hunting for. Can I show this? I don't know. Like, even in this bag right here are samples. Ooh, what is it? What is it? Samples of something that we're looking to fulfill and bring to the US market. So, yeah, by supporting us, we'll be bringing more stuff, and hopefully you like our stuff. Goes full circle. Searching for LJ real quick. I don't see it, unfortunately. All right, moving on. I'll come back, though, if I see it. Ooh, Swanee D, you missed it. I'm going to have to ask in the comments after the show because there's too much to this question. Yep, I'll see if I can answer it. It might be a good paragraph one, but if it's like this long when I open it up on my cell phone, sometimes I don't have enough time to read it, but I will try. 2-minute warning. Oh, we are getting close to the end to KG Tropical stream, so I better get to it. Now that you've found Mr. Pleco in Peru and put him in the goldfish tank, will Mrs. Pleco be going in soon? Oof, I don't know about that. I don't even know what to do when I make more of those. That sounds like a crazy time. Missed the rewards program on your site. Is it gone forever? I wouldn't say gone forever. We are working with a team of people to optimize our website. They are recommending one. We have been through a rewards program 3 times. Every time it has been an absolute train wreck. So much so that my employees literally beg me to never put one in again. Now, my employees are very forgiving people. They're willing to do quite a bit. And the fact that unanimously they all agree, like, this is the worst thing that's ever been a part of Aquarium Co-op every time we've ever implemented it. Those are the concerns I'm going to bring to this team of, like, everyone has always seen this be an absolute train wreck. How can we avoid that? Because if we can't, we cannot put a reward system back in. And, you know, most companies are running at razor thin margins. Some are even running at losses, like Chewies.com and that kind of stuff. And we're living through the best economic climate we've had in a very long time. And what's going to happen is, when there is a correction, a lot of this is going to come tumbling down, with shipping going up by like 12% in the last 18 months. And then these reward programs and tariffs and all these things, like tariffs plus shipping by 12%, that literally has eaten away 37% of profits. And then we stack on, let's say, oh, it's just 5% rewards. Like, well, that's 42% of profits, right? And that really starts taking a toll on the bottom line. So what I'm forced to do, unfortunately, is, can I offer rewards? Yes. But if I offer rewards, I might have to get rid of candy. What's better for the world? I'm like, well, I think answering people's questions for free is better than rewards. Because even when we run rewards, like, less than 50% of people utilize them. And so that's part of the problem too, is they have to sit on the books forever, and there's all these weird things about it. And, you know, so on one hand, it's like, well, people aren't using it. People are using it. And then there's like, oh, it's stacked weird, and now we actually just lost a ton of money this way. So that's not good either. All right, we're wrapping it up. Bought plants from you. They showed up great condition, better than my local fish store. Also, have you ever used sawhorses for a fish tank stand? I haven't. I don't know the way they're built, if they're meant to take a static load like that. That would be my worry. All right, we got to come up with, we got to talk about plant seeds. In general, I think most people should avoid them unless you like doing immersed grown setups. That would be mine. And oh no, Matthew Vargas, I missed your super chat. A juvenile super red bristlenose lives on a piece of driftwood, and legitimately, I'm not sure I've ever seen him not pooping. Is this normal? Yeah, you're feeding him wood. I mean, wood rots, and they're kind of like a cow. They eat all day long. So take that wood out of there. You'll notice most of my aquariums don't run wood. Wood are a huge source of kind of biological debris in your aquarium. So that's just why, one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of the wood. Do I have Discord? No. Or Discord? No, I don't. All right, we are all heading over to KD Tropical's live stream. We can link it in the chat here. We need a secret word because I love watching John get flustered with the secret word. Today's secret word is going to be... What is it going to be? It has got to be something... What do I know that could troll him? There's got to be something like we know each other, we've hung out before. Got to be something we can troll him with. I should really spend better time thinking about these before the live stream. But I just don't have that kind of time. No, don't say echo. That will literally drive him insane. Although it would be kind of funny. We can use echo as the word once his audio actually gets fixed, because it was still having a little bit of problems last week, and he might go insane when the people come in 22 minutes late and put echo in. So we can't do echo. That goes from trolling to being mean. So what could we do? What is the word? The word is the word people can't spell. All right, what is the word? The word is, I was going to say annelid, but people can't spell annelid. The word is pineapple pizza. We're going back to food. I think we do food most times. It's pineapple pizza. Roll over there, hit him with the pineapple pizza, and we will see. I'm really hoping he's not a pineapple pizza man. Or maybe he is and Lisa isn't. We'll have to see if there's a rivalry there. But pineapple pizza is the word. I'll see you there. I'm going to feed my dogs. I'll be away for like 5 minutes. As they're eating, I'll be hanging out in the chat and waiting for my pizza, which is not pineapple, to show up. So thank you for all those super chats. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for going over and supporting John. That's where I'll be hanging out. And we'll see you next time. Don't forget, videos every Sunday and Tuesday. And Thursdays are live streams. If I could find that button, I would end this. Pineapple pizza, and I'm out.